CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Havana calling. CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Radio Havana calling all shortwave listeners and radio amateurs. Welcome to... DXers Unlimited, Radio Havana's weekly feature dedicated to the fascinating world of radio communications.
Hi, mis amigos radio aficionados. You are most welcome, as always, to the weekend edition of DXers Unlimited. And today, solar flux has increased, solar activity is moving up. Also today, at the request of several listeners, this show will be featuring an antenna topic section dedicated to the very effective low takeoff angle radiator known as the hentenna. A great number of listeners from all around the world have written to me recently asking to learn more about this Japanese antenna. The hentenna, that's the name of it, that seems to continue to make headlines all around the world. But before telling you more about this mysterious hentenna coming from Japan, let me first say that the original report about the hentenna that went on the air here at DXers Unlimited dates back to 1999. More precisely, it went on the air on our show on the 12th of October of 1999, and according to my records, it generated a lot of interest among our listeners who were at that time, that year, 1999, getting ready to enjoy the peak years of Dream Solar Cycle 23, the last one of the good ones. So here is, at the request of DXers Unlimited fans, special DXers Unlimited report on the hentenna, the Japanese elongated asymmetric loop antenna, with an easy-to-match two coaxial cable feed lines of any impedance feature, be it 50 ohms, 60 ohms, 75 ohms, or 93 ohms coaxial cable, which one you have at hand, or even you can use 150 ohms too. And of course, as always, you can feed it with parallel transmission lines of an impedance between 300 to 450 ohms. And now let me start by saying that I recently built another hentenna for the FM broadcast band, and it is working nicely here in Havana, having already picked up some sporadic hit stations from Mexico, the U.S., and Puerto Rico during the past several days on the now about to start, this is an early starter, East Hit season. Now you will have to learn something more and very unusual about the hentenna. The hentenna produces or receives vertically polarized waves when the antenna is placed horizontally to respect to the ground. Let me explain. That is, with the long sides of the asymmetric loop parallel to the ground, it receives the signals in a vertical polarization. And if you want horizontal polarization for transmission or reception, just flip the antenna so that the long sides are parallel to the ground, something that is puzzling, but that's the way it is, amigos. By the way, one of the world's foremost antenna experts, Dr. L.B. Sevic, amateur radio operator W4RNL, did during his virtual life an extensive analysis of elongated loops antenna, asymmetric loops, and his findings are really important, relevant, fascinating. Dr. Sevic, now a silent P unfortunately, specialized in computer modeling of complex antenna systems, and his work with the hentenna and other similar elongated loops shows that this antenna is a very good performer indeed, especially if you take into consideration its a low cost and how easy it is to make antenna for a specific band of frequencies. In a few seconds, be ready to write down the formulas for calculating your antenna. The frequency range from 14 megahertz all the way up to the high television band that here in the Americas ends at 216 megahertz. So amigos, stay tuned. I'll be back with more radio related information in a few seconds under not very good propagation conditions. I'm Arnie, Radio Amateur 02KK in sunny, beautiful La Habana, Cuba. You're listening to Radio Havana Cuba. The name of the program is DXers Unlimited, our station's radio hobby program. You can send your signal reports and comments via email to info@rhc@enet.cu or via airmail to Arnie Coro. My last name is spelled Charlie, Oscar, Romeo, Oscar in phonetics. Arnie Coro, Radio Havana Cuba, Havana Cuba. And now, as I promised, more information about the Japanese wonder antenna, the hentenna. Dr. Sevic's computer modeling shows that the elongated asymmetric loop antenna has an edge over a regular square one wavelength loop and the regular elongated loop. It's better than both. Antennas for receiving FM broadcast band signals are very easy to build, using a wooden or PVC pipe frame and just copper wire for the antenna. I built the one just mentioned, cut for 100 megahertz, that's the center of the FM broadcast band more or less, using PVC insulated number 12 wire, the one that is typically used for home wiring. The loop was closed by soldering with a butane torch and using regular solder with rosin core. The reason for using the butane torch is that no soldering iron at hand here could handle the heavy wire plus the high-speed heat transfer of the copper wire. I needed more heat in order to melt the solder. The loop for the 100 megahertz antenna is 1.5 meters on the long sides of the rectangle and 50 centimeters on the short sides. The feed point for the 50 ohm cable was found to be located about 55 centimeters from one of the short sides of the loop. The antenna is installed with the long sides in a vertical position, as told earlier, for receiving horizontally polarized FM broadcast. I tried both 50 ohms and 75 ohms coaxial cables and could not detect any difference on the weakest station that I am picking up here regularly with the FM band antenna now in use. Again, now pay extra attention. If you want to make one of these elongated loops for receiving, here are the measurements to use. For the long sides of the rectangle, 1/2 of a wavelength at the operating frequency. For the short side, the length is 1/6 of a wavelength also at the operating frequency. And the connection point for the coaxial cable of 50 ohms impedance is a little more than 1/6 of wavelength from one of the short sides of the rectangle. And it must be found experimentally by locating the point that provides the minimum standing wave ratio when testing with the transmitter. I have tried two different techniques for feeding the antenna. One using two wires connected to the long side and going to an insulator to which the coaxial cable is then attached. This is what I do with antennas for the lower frequency band. For the higher frequency bands, like for example the TV high VHF band or the amateur 2 meters band, I use the coaxial cable itself by carefully splitting the center conductor and the shield in two. Takes a little practice to do it, but you will be able to do it, and it saves time and avoids one extra solder connection that you don't need. Do remember to fully protect the coaxial cable from the weather by sealing it properly with PVC tape and silicone sealing compound. You don't want water to enter into the coaxial cable. It would spoil it. Antennas can be built for any frequency between about 10 megahertz and 300 megahertz by using heavy wire, and for the frequency range from about 50 megahertz to 500 megahertz, you may try building antennas with copper or aluminum tubing. Yes, amigos, this is yet another easy weekend project, spring project. Collect all the needed materials and have them ready at your workshop, the garage, or near the kitchen table, so that the next weekend you can build your own low-cost elongated loop antenna. Remember, if you are a radio amateur operator, that an antenna is a very effective antenna to take along with your handy talkie, the portable FM 2 meters radio, as it will extend the range of the handy talkie many times. I now have my portable antenna for 2 meters that has shown a gain of more than 6 dB, or almost 10 dB in one particular occasion, above the handy talkie's rubber duck antenna. In other words, the antenna is behaving as if you had a linear amplifier connected to the handy talkie, with the additional added benefit that it does not use up extra battery power. And one final comment, do remember that the antenna is a directional antenna system, so you can turn it around for the best possible signals, receiving or transmitting. An antenna for the 2 meter band must be installed with the long side in a horizontal position in order to receive and transmit the vertically polarized waves used for amateur 2 meters FM communications. And be on the alert for possible high-frequency propagation disturbances during the next several days. It may happen during the next 2 to 3 days because of solar activity and the effects of a recurrent solar coronal hole. See you all at the middle of the week edition of DXers Unlimited, amigos. That's next Tuesday and Wednesday UTC days.
And that's all for today. This is Arnie, Radio Amateur CO2KK, your host here at Radio Havana's DXers Unlimited, saying 73 and very good DX.
Thanks, Arnie. Arnie Coro with DXers Unlimited, heard every week, every Sunday here on Radio Havana Cuba.